Hello, radiant woman. You. So, what is being a radiant woman? What does that even mean? Well, to me, one of the values of radiance is speaking your truth, feeling centered and rooted in yourself, feeling confident enough to speak your truth, to be a stand for your own needs. So today I want to talk about, um, I want to talk about that, and I want to share a recent story where I spoke up for myself, even though it felt risky. It felt risky. So I had a situation come up with a friend of mine last week where I felt her innocently crossing a boundary. And as it happened, I could feel my body, tensing up or, just shutting down. Just shutting down. You know that feeling when somebody says something or does something that isn't okay with you and they cross a boundary. Your body lets you know. Your body lets you know. And in the past, I probably would have sidestepped the situation, maybe tried to ignore it, hope that it just wouldn't happen again. But what I've learned is that's just not the way to go. It's not the way to live your best life, because life brings you these opportunities to be a stand for yourself. And if you ignore them, there are repercussions, right? There are repercussions. So that clenching inside has something to say, and it's way more important than keeping things on an even keel in order to not make waves, right? Or to not make other people feel uncomfortable. Yeah, because that's why we do it, right? We don't want them to feel uncomfortable by us sharing what our needs are, right? And how silly is that, right? We take responsibility for somebody else's response to, just claiming our needs. It's so bizarre. So I knew my friend had no idea how she was affecting me. How could she? Right? It was all innocent. And I I didn't choose to say anything in the moment, because for me, I need a little time to sort through my feelings, to get really clear on my needs, and maybe even do a little processing so that I am in the clear space to share. So I took some space, it took some time, and when I felt clear, I reached out to have a conversation. So, like I said, in the past, I know how I would have handled this situation. I would have, first of all, felt irritated, but I would have kept my irritation to myself, just not trying not to make any waves, and hoping that it would somehow resolve itself. And then if it continued, I would either distance myself from the relationship, or I'd eventually have to have a talk about it, but the talk would come out in a way that didn't serve anybody, because it would be in a place, it would be coming from a place of fear and defense, instead of coming from a place of love. So in this situation, not speaking my truth to my friend just to protect her feelings in the moment would mean dishonoring myself, and ultimately dishonoring her and the relationship, because it would mean I don't, trust her ability to handle, my truth. Well, that's disrespectful of her, so because I see myself and my friend in the highest, what is my move? To speak my truth, right? And anyway, if I'm not a stand for my own truth in my life, I can't expect anyone else to be, right? It's called being a doormat. So in this situation, I took some time, I did my work to make sure that I was coming from a place of pure love for myself and for my friend to communicate my message, right? So when I was ready, I gave her a call, let her know I needed to talk. And sure enough, we were on the phone in 15 minutes, and I was able to express my needs around my boundaries. And yeah, it was a little uncomfortable. These conversations are a little uncomfortable, but she heard me and she was gracious in receiving my feedback, which is all I could hope for, right? But had I not shared how I was feeling, she would probably assume that everything was okay with me. And that would be on me. That would be on me. Now, I used to think people should just know, right? They should just know. But now I understand that that's just a cop out, right? That's a cop out. That's me copping out on my responsibility of communicating my needs because it's vulnerable and it feels scary, right? Because we've as women have been conditioned to play nice, to keep our mouth shut. It's it's been commonplace to sacrifice our own needs just to protect other people's feelings. And the truth is that we're the ones holding ourselves to that narrative. No one else is. So there have been so many experiences that I've had in my past where I I think to myself, "Oh, okay. I'll just set this one aside. Surely it won't happen again." And the longer I would go not speaking my truth about it, the more resentful I would feel, and the more uncomfortable it would feel to even breach the subject, right? So, right before I got on the call with my friend, I could definitely feel that old fear coming up. What if she gets upset? What if she feels offended? Which has definitely happened to me before in relationships with strong women. I tend to be in relationship with strong women. I love strong women. And I've experienced some backlash from trying to share my truth. But I reminded myself, Kath, she's your good friend and she loves you. And the only way she's going to know about your needs is if you tell her. So I did. And even though it may have been hard for her to hear in the moment, she was grateful. She was grateful. And our relationship will only deepen because of this. It'll only deepen because of it. Because I honored myself, I honored her, and I honored the relationship. And it's a beautiful thing. So you may be wondering how I went from being someone who didn't speak up for herself to somebody who does speak up for herself. And this is the power that comes from embodiment. With wholeness comes deep levels of inner trust and confidence to speak your truth without fear of being rejected, right? Because the truth is, you want people in your life that want to know your truth, that want to honor you, right? And when you feel that sense of wholeness inside, you're able to be okay with some relationships falling away. Yeah, relationships that aren't in service to your highest good. So this is the power of the work that I do with my clients. And hey, if you want some of this, let's go. Peace and blessings.